Hi everybody, we're going to get started with August Club Q, and the name of this kit is Summer Fun Starts Here. Some fun bright colors for summer, and we are suggesting for Powder Puff Chalking Inks Dragonfly, Fall Leaves, and Blue Topaz. But as you can see, there is lots of color in this. So brighten it up with some brighter oranges if you want, like candy corn, dreamsicle, peaches and cream. That one's kind of a more peach color. Any of the blues or teal or aqua colors would match with this as well. So let's go ahead and get started. And like I normally do, we are going to do the cutting first. So I'm just going to leave this out here so I have my cutting diagram. There's also a couple of smaller papers that we're going to cut as well. So grab your trimmer. Oh, and I also want to mention, sometimes I leave the die cuts in the original paper until I need them when there's lots of flowers. But what I did this time is I actually punched out all the flowers and I put them in piles, 4 different piles. So small, a little bit larger, a little bit larger, and then there's 2 large ones. So I just kept those in piles so I know what to grab when I want to. And with flowers, you can layer them any way you want. They don't have to be exactly like they are on the picture. But go ahead and punch those out. And I punched out all of my die cuts this time. I know sometimes I save them till the end and just grab what I need, but this time I punched them out. Okay, so we have 2 papers we're going to cut. There's an orange one and a teal one, like that on the other side. And I'm going to start with the orange one. So the orange we want to cut into, let's see, got it stuck on, there we go. We try to put all the cutting diagrams right at the top, so you can do all the cutting first. The orange we want to cut into a 5.5 by 7.5 and a 4.5 by 5.5. So the paper is already at 5.5. So what I'm going to do is just turn it and cut a 7.5 inch piece off. So that gives your 5.5 by 7.5. And then the piece that is left over should be 5.5 by 4.5. So just one trim there. And if you need to hit pause, you go right ahead and do the cutting and chalk things up as you go. Okay, so we, on the teal paper, we need a 5.5 by 7.5 and a 4.5 by 5.5 as well. So it's already, again, at 5.5. We are going to turn it and cut at 7.5. And that gives us the 2 pieces we need. Okay? Other than that, we have one diagram, one 12 by 12 diagram, and we need 2 5 by 7s and 2 4 by 5s. What I'm going to do is actually put it in sideways so we can cut the 5 by 7s out of this piece here. And really anywhere out of here would be fine. A lot of this is actually going to be covered up with your photos anyway. So go ahead and just cut wherever you want on the page. I'm going to turn it this way and cut it at 7. And from that piece, I'm going to turn it and cut it at 5. And then move it down so you cut it at 5 again. So you have this little piece left over. We won't be using that, so you can save it or toss it. Okay, so you have 2 5 by 7s. With the end piece, we are going to do 4 by 5s. So I'm going to put this in and cut it at 4 inches. And then turn and cut at 5. And again, wherever you cut out of the paper is fine. If you end up cutting this end to the 4x5, that's fine, because most of this is covered up by a photo. You'll just see just the edges, like the colorful edges there. And this is left over. This would make a cute little tag or something. And from there, we are actually done with the trimmer. So I'm going to take that out of the way. I'll set this out of the way. And then we are going to just start layering the pieces. So we'll start by getting our 5x7s out, and the paper that we are going to layer on top of that. And I don't know which way is up. It doesn't really matter because, again, it'll be covered up with I'm just finding my stuff here. It'll be covered up with photos. So if you want to chalk these up, you can. I actually have Jade, which is kind of a greenish teal color. Another one that would be good is Baja Blue. I just did a little bit on the edges there. And if you like this other side of the paper better, you can use the other side as well. Totally up to you. So we're going to center these pieces. We're going to kind of work on both pages at the same time. I'm not gluing these down to the page quite yet. Actually, I think I want to do this way, because we have a little tab that we're going to put in behind that. I'm going to chalk that one up first. Okay, and then you have 2 smaller pieces. We're going to put these onto for the photo mats. Center these. I love this orange and teal colors together. I'm just going to kind of place these out here. You can adjust these however you need to for your photos. So if you have something that you don't want covered up right here, you definitely don't want to overlap that too much. If you are putting these together without your photos in, just make sure that you're not putting adhesive right here, so that when you put that down, you can still slide a photo into that big one. Okay, so I punched out all the die cuts. These little tabs, they're just decorations. They look like tags that could pull out, and sometimes we make interactive pages, but these ones are actually just for decoration. And I'm going to use, this is Peaches and Cream, so it's kind of a softer orange. I know in the picture I used a probably Dragonfly or Baja Blue or maybe a turquoise on there. The new turquoise is really bright and pretty. And then I'm going to put a little adhesive just along this edge right here. And that gets tucked underneath there and centered. You have a little bag full of pearls. So in the photo, we actually put a blue one over here and a peach one over here when we put that in. Totally up to you. I'm going to use Jade on this one. add a little adhesive along the bottom. Tuck that in here. Move that down just a little. And then add a little adhesive here and add your pearl. Now your frames, you have these little squiggly frames. If you have a photo to put underneath here, what I would do is lay your photo underneath of it, and I would just trace along the outside here so that your photo gets that shape of the frame. When you pick up your photo, I would cut just inside the line that you traced so it fits just behind here. Does that make sense? So lay it onto your photo. I don't have a photo right here to trace, but lay it onto your photo, trace the outside, and then when you pick this up on your photo, just trace right inside the line, or I mean, cut right inside the line that you traced, and then it'll go right underneath here. Go ahead and put that onto your page once you have a photo in there. And again, if you don't have your photos and you're just putting together the kit, remember to only barely tack this down so you can peel it back up and get a photo in there when you have one. If you want to chalk these up, you can. But the same goes for here. You can trace these onto your photos, cut them out, and then add it to your page. And we made these quite a bit smaller than the background because we wanted to be able to see some of that color and print on the back side of it. If you have a larger photo that you want to put on here, you don't have to use these frames at all, and you can just put the photo on there if you would like to. Okay. Okay, so we're going to layer up. Normally we use the Barely Art 3-in-1 glue. I'm actually out right now. I need to grab some more off the shelf, but it has a precision tip on it. We have it on our website. It's called Barely Art. And you can just put a couple of dots throughout here and layer these up. The letters, I would actually put the, let's see, that's a little bit crooked. The teal letters down first so that you know where you want them, and then come back through and add the white outline. So these are really skinny, and what I do was with the precision tip, the Barely Art glue, is I just put a couple of dots again around kind of the corners and the edge, and then lay that right down on top. It doesn't take much. You don't have to have the entire thing glued, because once this gets into your page protector, it's going to hold it down. So you don't have to have it exactly all glued down on there. The same here, just a few dots so that you can get this to stay in place. I love this font. It's a fun summary font. Kind of kid-ish font, but it's kind of elegant too. Your words start here, they just get glued on top there. And again, make sure you don't glue this end down if you don't have your picture in yet. And I have mine, it looks like it's scooted over just a little bit. This is why I don't glue things down from the beginning, because in case I want to move it a little bit. And if you already did, that's totally fine too. It can be offset. It looks just as good. Okay, so your flowers, the two biggest ones are going to be the middle of each of these. the next biggest, and I'm going to lay these out just so I can make sure that I have these in the places that I want them. So the next biggest goes right next to them. And then there's one that same size that's left over, and that one actually goes in the center of this one. And again, if you get this mixed up, it's no biggie because there's so many layers here, it's not going to matter which goes on what. Okay, so then the next, so we have the smallest ones and then the next to the smallest ones. So we're going to take these, and there's 3 of these, and I'm going to go right across here for this. And then we'll pick them back up and we will chalk them all up. The middle ones have a 3rd layer. Just like that. And I'm looking because it looks like we have a couple left over. Just making sure that I'm not missing this anywhere. If you do have a couple left over, just use it in the on the edges somewhere. This will be cute. Okay, so I'm going to pick these back up and chalk them. And what I'm going to show you is a trick that I do with all of my flowers. I chalk up the edges, and then I take each petal and I just do a quick fold in the center of the petal. And this gives it quite a bit of extra dimension and layers. And I'm going to go green, orange, and again I'm using peaches and cream. But if you want to use a brighter orange, you can. And then I just fold. And it doesn't have to be perfect, just a quick bend. You can see how that kind of lifts up. I'm going to do this one green. Fold those again. And you'll really see when these get layering and they're folded like that, it just really gives a little extra height. Oh, these, this is where these go. I thought I already laid them down. That's why I was wondering, what the heck, why do I have extra? Okay, so these go right on top of here. Thought maybe we gave you extra flowers. And then I'm going to start with the biggest one to the side, orange. Fold them up. Green on top. And you do these in any colors or layers that you want. You can do all the same color if you want to, instead of alternating back and forth. My inks here are getting a little messy. I got them a little mixed up, and I have had them for a very long time, the ones that I'm using now. Some of mine last a couple years, some of them last 6 or 7 months, depending on how much I use them. I actually really like the chalks, the powder puffs, when they start to dry out a little. It gives it just a little bit more of a chalky look. Move these over just slightly. We're going to make room for our little flourishes. So what I do is actually, I would put a little dot of glue, glue these together, a little dot of glue just in the center, add these to your page, and then I go back in and I put a little dot of glue just in a few spots here, and I tuck this up under. Little spot of glue here, and tuck it up under. Oops, I turned that one the other way. And really, you can put the flourishes any way you want. And then I do the same for this corner up here, and you are done with this page. I hope you have the perfect summer pictures to put in here. I know the weather's still hot in a lot of places, so I hope you're still getting some summer photos. And I hope you enjoy the August Club Q. Thanks so much for being a member. We'll see you next time.